Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bare Bones Wargaming, a show with no bells, no whistles, no frills, just a man, a camera, and his game. Now, at the risk again of sounding like a soap opera, when we last left you, things, of course, as you can see, have not gotten much better. I still have, if you look here at the top, you can see up here by the dice that I use to keep track, I still have no VP. And things just have not, I haven't gotten any big breaks yet. But the good news is I haven't had any bad breaks either, like another Soviet sub attack. One other thing I want to mention for the game, something I made on my own. It's real simple kind of thing. Sometimes with, like, say, Berlin, which Berlin only has 3 letters, B, C, and T. And if any of those get obliterated, or seem like they're going to get obliterated, there's really nothing to roll for if you start with another bomber force at Berlin. So what I did was, I made this card up, and this is just real crude. But if you notice, there are exactly 20 letters there. So what I do is I just use a 20-sided die and determine another alternate target if, excuse me, if the original target gets obliterated. And again, I mentioned this, so I'll just show it. I just use a simple notebook. But I just saw somebody's suggestion. There's a thread on Board Game Geek about suggestions for gameplay, and I mentioned my one about using a marker to mark where you're at, to help you remember where you're picking up next time you get back to the game. But somebody actually mentioned using a whiteboard to record like missions for Downtown, which is a GMT game about the air war over Vietnam. And actually that would be great for something like this, something simple that you don't need a lot of record keeping, and then you wouldn't have to use up a lot of paper. So I am going to look into getting myself a small whiteboard for that kind of thing, because that would be great for something like this. So kudos to the individual who mentioned that, and I'm sorry I did not pay attention with precision to who that was, but you can look up that thread on Board Game Geek if you like. Alright, let's get back into the gameplay. Now, again, a couple of things that are going well for me, so let's zoom in here a little bit. As you can see, my bombers are approaching Soviet airspace. That's why I decided to come back to you, because moving here from left to right, I've got 2, 4, 5, 6 bombers that are going to be in range. Having that refueling thing so my bombers can move an extra space each turn has been a big help. And if you look down here too, my sub is coming into range. And again, that US sub is big. And I guess that's one of the things too about this game is, and just like real history, if a few things break differently, could completely change the outcome of things. Like last game, I had that Soviet ASW random event come out, and if they had sunk my sub right off the bat, whew, that definitely makes this a different ballgame. So, speaking of which, I am ready over here. Let me just move this. So I will zoom in. You can join me as I discover what is the random event for this turn. As you can see, there's my little glow-in-the-dark die. So here we go. What is the random event? Random event is number 8. And number 8, is the F-102 nuclear missiles. So once a game, I can use nuclear missiles with my interceptors. Cool. Alright. That'll be helpful. Trying to keep the Soviets off my back. So, because that refueling thing actually has helped them big time too. Because now their fighters having that extra +1 on the first attack on a bomber, that's really made a big difference. They've shot down a lot of my planes that way. That's ugly. Okay. So, deploy Soviet flights. Well, that's not necessary. Every Soviet flight is in the game right now. They haven't all been detected, as you can see over here with the board, but they are all in the game. Now, we're moving all Soviet bombers, so here we go. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of read out to you out loud where everybody's going, so you have an idea of what's happening here. So, and again, I just go left to right because it just makes it easier in my opinion. So Flight G is moving, and they're headed for the City of Angels. They're on their way to LA. Flight C down here, which is really menacingly close, is actually going for its target. It is headed for D, and I believe D is Seattle. Yes, it is Seattle. Oh, my Seahawks. Oh, no. Well, of course, this time there would have been no Seahawks. But anyway, 1976. versus whatever year this is. I forget exactly what year it's supposed to be, but I'm pretty sure it's the early 60s. Well, I mean, Fidel has to be in power, so it's got to be somewhere after 1959, but before, you know, all the huge missile buildup kind of thing. All right. Letter H. That mission is on its way to San Francisco. If you're going to San Francisco. Yeah, not wearing any flowers in our hair here, clearly. And then, gotta check here, make sure these are all mine. You know, like that little new car commercial with that little girl. Mine. Oh, here, Flight A. Flight A, I forgot where they were headed originally. They're actually on their way to C, so they're headed for target C. So that's another problem I'm going to have to deal with. Speaking of which, Flight F is now, because I had given them a new target, and I should have waited, because London was about to be bombed, but the British managed to save it with interceptors. So F is actually on its way back to London now. I is also headed for target C if it's left, otherwise we'll have to roll for a new one. And last but not least, J, which left from Moscow, is on its way to, I believe, New York City, if I'm not correct. Yes, letter H is New York City. So, we moved all the bombers. Alright. Now, detection. Well, I don't think there's anybody that needs to be detected yet. There aren't any new flights that have crossed the dew line. No, there aren't any ones that have crossed the dew line. So that's not a problem there at all. So, no detection. Alright. Interceptors and air defenses. Well, don't have any of that, but I do have, I've got folks over D and C and T. So we've got a serious problem here. Well, clearly the British will send both of their interceptors up to go after this Flight F. Let's see now. I have C and I have D. I have 3 U.S. planes apiece I can use on that, and I'm going to split these guys up. So, 3 to defend Seattle, 3 to defend, what in the world is C, by the way? Somewhere in Greenland, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Gotthard in Greenland. Okay. Now, of course, before I can engage, I'm using that variant rule. So again, we'll just go left to right. So let's check the 3 U.S. planes over here. Okay, so 6, so no worries there. The 3 up there in Greenland, also a 6. So again, remember, when I roll the die, if I roll less than the number of interceptors committed, then those extra ones do not show up. So again, those were 3. If I rolled a 2, one of them wouldn't have showed up. Now the British are in pretty good shape over here. Wow, that's 3 6s in a row. That's a little worrisome. So we're good to go. Okay. So here we go. Going after Flight C. I got my 3 U.S. planes. Rolled a 6 and a 4 and a 3, which means I shot down 2 of them in Flight C. The first one I'm getting rid of is the middle one. And then the next one I'm getting rid of is actually the tail end one. But these guys are all about the same strength here in Flight C. So I shot down 2 of the Soviet bombers, which is good, but one did manage to get through. Not so good. Alright, we'll see what happens here in a minute. Moving along, we got the 3 over here at Greenland, so let's see what they're going to do. Oh, 3 2 2. Nothing. Nothing. Ah, I feel like Robert De Niro in oh, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, what's it called? I can hear the music. Oh no, this is awful. The Untouchables, that's it. You'll get nothing. You got nothing. That's what I got. I got nothing. Alright, let's see if the Brits can handle things here. 5 and a 1. Well, okay. That did shoot down 1 bomber. Which one did we get? Oh, good. Good news. We got the strongest one there. So the Brits have given themselves a good fighting chance to survive this attack. Okay. So, and again, if a bomber doesn't hit its target when it's over top of a target, that's basically assuming that the city's home defenses dealt with the situation there. So, let's go ahead and zoom in here a little bit. And we'll deal with our first situation out here in Seattle. So in Seattle, There's one surviving Soviet bomber in Flight C. It needs 3 or better. And it got a 4. No! Woo! Ah, it's another 5. Curses. So now the Soviets have raced out to a 15-point lead on me. And worse yet, now my planes will not come back on a die roll of 1 or 2 at the interceptor stage. Curses. Alright, the Soviet bombers that are part of Flight A, there are 3 of them. Bye-bye. Greenland, that's my guess here anyway. So I got one that needs 3 or more, so let's try that one first. Yeah, it's over. It's a 4. So. And let me move you over there to where that action's at. There we go. So I wonder if the sub was able to pick up the blast. Boy, I've been lucky though, in one respect. I have been lucky in the sense that every single Soviet strike has only been a 5. Why do I say that? Because there's 10s in this cup. And there's also 1d6s, which can make things a little funky, for lack of a better way to put it. So, Flight A is finished. Successfully so. I am taking a beating. You know, it's a funny thing I've noticed about these videos when I've been doing them for you guys. Every single time I do these videos, it's like the worst result I've had. It's just like, here I am out on the internet showing everybody things, and it's just like the games are like, dude, we can't just let him roll over us. We need to kick his butt. We need to do it now. Alright, Flight F. Now the good news, only 2 planes. Also good news, they need 4 or better. Bad news, there's 2 of them. Oh no. Well, goodbye to foggy landing time. Ah, it's another 5. So again, at least it gives the West a fighting chance. Alright. Well, there's only 4 Soviet flights left. But they have done a job. And then there's those Soviet subs running around too. Now, of course, I'll need to remove the UK interceptors because that's the end of them. Stick a fork in them. But there is that one Vulcan flight which can try to take some measure of revenge here in a moment or 2. Okay. Well, U.S. gets to deploy some bombers, so we get some more bombers here to launch. Let's see what I got. If there's any left from London, well, they're just out of luck. Okay, so I do have some more bombers. We'll get ready to launch them from Omaha and I forget what that other city is there. Chicago. We'll launch them from those areas there. Alright, well, this is not looking good at all. So I've deployed them, now I get to move. Now, of course, we get to move 2 spaces thanks to the refuelers. So these 2 guys, actually I probably need to zoom back out, so hang on. Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? Yeah, let me zoom back out, that way you can see everything. Alright, so these guys have reached the target. They're getting ready to blast. These guys are going to fly around the mushroom cloud. Over here, we've got 1, 2 for these guys. 1, 2, they're leaving base. These guys have reached the target. These guys have reached the target. 1, 2 for those guys. 1, 2, these guys just took off. And then these guys here. 1, 2, flying around the mushroom cloud. The British one is going to end up there. Okay, so lots that we can use to try and tax the Soviet air defense system. So that's at least good. Alright, now, the Soviet air defense systems, of course, we're not over top of one of the actual defense line systems, so we don't have to worry about SAM sites. That's the good news. Bad news is the Russians have all their interceptors in play. So here we go. So they'll put 2 over here, matching up with each of the bombers, And look at that, son of a gun, they have enough. Now the question is, since the Soviets get that benefit with their refueling guide, which one should I use the +1 modifier on? Well, I could do this a couple of ways. I could do the most promising one, or I could just do it randomly. Let's do it randomly. Unless, is one of those Vladivostok? No, Vladivostok's further down. So, the special bomber actually will start over on that side near Vladivostok. So I guess I want to make sure nobody can get that far. Alright, so let's take a look over here. Now we will zoom back in to show you my bombing runs as they happen here. Okay, here we go. So, let me pull back out just a tiny bit. There we go. Alright, so we got 2 Soviet interceptors here. We got 2 U.S. bombers. Neither one of them have a defense of a -1. There's a couple U.S. bombers like that. Alright, so we'll just go left to right. So the first one will be the special one. So we get +1 to his die roll. It's a 6. So bye-bye U.S. bomber. The second one, shoot, rolled a 4. They shot both of them down. Wow. This is, yikes. This is not going very well at all for me. Whew, that's more planes I'm losing. Gadzooks. Alright, over this target here, now the top one does have a -1, the bottom one does not, so keep your fingers crossed. So here we go, top one. 4 minus 1 is 3. Yeah, survived. Finally. The bottom one got shot down, they rolled a 5. Wow. Okay, so Soviet interceptors head back to base, and I lost the bottom bomber, but you'll get to see the top one try to light up the Soviet skyline. And then last but not least, here's hoping this British bomber gets through because their home area is obliterated. But the Russians are really sticking it to the Brits this game. They shot down that bomber too. Wow. Okay. Well, this game is getting to be UGLY. Ain't got no alibi. It's ugly. Yes, yes, it's ugly. Alright. So, I do have one bombing run, but only one bombing run. Oh, whoops, I forgot a Soviet interceptor. I'm sorry, I skipped the one there. That's a -1 modifier. Whoops. 5 minus 1. Dang it, it's 4. I still got it. Wow. Well, this is just, yeah. Well, look at the bright side. For those of you who think this game might be too easy at times, you know what? You are... Oh, I forgot to zoom back out. I'm sorry. Oh, shoot. My apologies. Alright, well, I guess you can imagine, you're stuck in one of the other bombers listening to all the chatter that's going on while all this is happening, right? So, zooming back here, I only have one bomber that managed to get... I meant to move the camera along. I apologize. Alright, here we go. Well, here comes this bomber. We need 3 or better to hit the target. And we rolled a 4. So finally, here at... Let's see, where's that? At Tixi. We're going to finally get a hit. Hey, and it's a 10 hit. So bam. That brings me right back into the thick of the fighting. So that's good. Alright. Now. Wow. How bad. So clearly the nightmare scenario is a very difficult scenario if you are the player. Which is the point. Again, one of the things I like about this game is, you can make this as easy or as hard as you want. With all the variant and ideas that have come up and stuff. The designer support has been great. I mean, you can literally make this game as easy or as hard as you like. Alright, US sub. Now, let's count some hexes here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we're just out of range still, so I gotta move up one more. And the next turn I'll be ready to blast. I believe that's Murmansk over there. Yes, Murmansk. Yep, my Russian geography class is not failing me. Okay, now here comes the tricky part. Reset the interceptors. So the U.S. has suffered 20 points of damage. So on my 6 planes, I have got to get 5 No, wait a minute, hold on. The U.S. actually has, I forgot to add in the British strike. It's 25 points of damage. Well, the British wouldn't count for ours, so technically it is 20, but the Russians actually have 25 VP. Ouch. Have I got that right? 5, 10, 15, 20, yep, 25. Yikes. Okay. So now, a 1 or a 2 will keep them at base. Well, good news is only 1 will have to stay at base. All my other interceptors will be available to deal with the Soviet attacks that are still to come. And there's not that many at this point in the game. Now the Russians, because we've only inflicted 10 points of damage on them, they need a 1. And they got 1-1. So both sides will have 1 interceptor unavailable for the next game turn. So the Canadians only engaged once while I was away, so to speak, and they did a splendid job. Shot down the whole formation. Okay. Random event. And I'll shut this down in a little bit here. Oh no! Oh no, looky! It's a Soviet sub-attack again! Ah! Oh, bugger, 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 bugger. Alright. And the Ruskies need 3 or better. Survey says... Oh, whew, it's a 2. Ooh, that was close. Whew. I'll tell you what, man, if they had gotten that shot off, it would almost be game, set, and match, because even 1 bomb, unless it was a D6 mushroom cloud, I mean, yikes. Okay. No Soviet flights to deploy. Soviet bombers are on the move. Okay? Alright, here we go. Again, Flight G is on its way to LA. Flight H still heading for San Francisco. So both heading for the west coast there. And then I needs a new target. Okay, and I started in Berlin. So to speak. That's a complete sentence. Now, here's where I'm going to get to use my little table, my 20-sided die table. Because everything that is a target from Berlin has been destroyed. B, C, and T. And those are the only ones you get from Berlin. So here we go. So their new orders are directing them to C. Okay, never mind. Let's try again. Whoa. Their new orders are directing them to LA. Okay. Well, they may end up with a new set of orders being transmitted before all this is over. So, they will continue to move forward and head that direction. And then, of course, J, remember, is on to New York. Alright, so, moved. No interceptors that can challenge anybody. They're not over top of any places anywhere. Okay, there's no Soviet bomber attacks. Nobody's ready to go. Deployment, I can deploy here. And I gotta be honest, I'm getting so late in the game here. Curses. That I'm starting to think about nuking Cuba. Why am I saying curses? Here's why. I drew one of the British bombers, which of course is now invalidated because there's no place to fly from. Alright. Jeez, should I bomb Cuba unprovoked? I could leave one of those bombers on the ground. I don't know what to do about that. This is war, but on the other hand, if I don't have to incinerate those folks, I'd rather not. Let's hold off and let's see what they do. Alright, so now I get to move everything again, so here we go. 1, 2. I'm just going to have those guys go to there. These guys, 1, 2. These guys, 1, 2, are going to take a turn there. 1, 2. We'll see which way things are going to go there. 2. 1, 2. And then 1, 2, 3. And remember, I'm doing 2 because of the fueler thing, and my base is still intact, so I'm allowed to do that. As long as the base exists, I can keep moving all my guys 1 extra movement point here in the game. Okay. So, Soviet interceptors. Well, let's see. There are 2 planes over top of the one base. So now, usually it's just equal, but sometimes, and I'm not doing it this game, but sometimes I'll use the same rule I use for the U.S. So that way, if I try to do overkill, more of the Soviet planes than are available, or more than the bombers that are there, then they go ahead and have the same restriction of you roll a die and try to see if anybody ends up there. So these ones here will use the +1 to negate the defense there of that U.S. airplane. Oh, and used it to great effect. They shot it down. The second one, man, they did it there too. Dang it. I am just losing everything. I'm starting to think I'm going to lose this game for the first time in like forever. I can't even think the last time I lost this game. I don't know how many plays I actually have in. And that's it. That's it for the Soviet scramble. So I don't have anything that can actually attack. Now I do have my sub 1, 2, 3, 4 in range. So let's fire off a missile from there. So missile fired. So we moved the missile track down by 1. All I need is a 2 or better, which is good because that's all I was able to roll was a 2. Hopefully this will hurt the Soviet command and control, and it will. It takes them up to 15 damage points now. So now they will only bring back an interceptor on a roll of 1 or 2 also. Speaking of which, let's check interceptors here. I still have that one that was left over from last time. Oh, and by the way, the US sub can either shoot or move. It cannot do both on a turn. So I fired, and now I'm going to have to move next turn again to do that. So the U.S. plane is not ready. I rolled a 2. And then we've got 3 Soviet fighters. Of course, naturally, this should not probably surprise you. They're all ready. It was a 3, 4, and a 5. Alrighty. Game's not over yet. Because right now we have, let me go ahead and just move this over here. I'll do a couple of things here as I get ready to end this. Up here, you can see my little victory point total running here. So the Soviets, with the red, of course, naturally, had 25 victory points against the U.S. with 15. And let's just take a survey over the map here one last time, and then I'll show you what I'm going to be dealing with next turn, and then we'll go ahead and we'll call it quits here in this video, because this gives you plenty of an idea how this game's like. Alright, what this game's like, rather. So down here you can see I've got lots of the U.S. still intact, except poor Seattle. But I've got 2 more bomber flights coming in. Remember, one's headed for LA and the other one's headed for San Francisco. I got to deal with that yet too. And then we've got New York and oh yeah, another LA target later. But I do have a bunch of bombers that are crossing the polar ice cap. You can see all the mushroom clouds there. I've got a bunch of US bombers that are in position getting ready to attack. I got to figure out which way I'm going to send them. I may send them both to the right because I'd like to bomb Moscow and get rid of this stupid refueling thing that's killing me here. And then, of course, over here, I have it Kamchatka. I also have that lone bomber, well, that lone bomber force. There's 2 of them there. Now, of course, as the U.S. player, I could stack 3 in the same hex and send them just like the Soviets do, but I always have a tendency to just send them as they become available, especially in this scenario here where I'm postulating that this was by surprise, you know, it was a scramble and all that kind of stuff there. So the last thing I want to do here is pull my next random event because the game's not over, but the Soviets have a decent lead. And then that way you can see what's going to be my predicament here at the start of the next turn. And the random event is yeah, I'm a mixer. Random event is event number 1. And I will mark it with my little glow-in-the-dark die. Oh, no. Ah! Can you take a guess even what I did, what's happening because of what I just grumbled? I'll give you a hint. Remember what I said about not incinerating anybody that if I didn't have to? Yeah, Cuba's about to launch their bombers at me. And Cuba's targets range anywhere from DC to Atlanta to Jacksonville, which they only need one movement point to get to Jacksonville. One to get to New Orleans. Oh, dude. What else can they hit? Possibly Dallas and New York. Sugar. Okay, alright. So, final thoughts here about the game. Let me just wrap up here. Again, I hope this gives you a good idea how the game plays. I really do like this game. Again, this game gets my certified 3F stamp of approval. It's fast, it's fun, and it's furious. Again, if you like Cold War games and you don't want anything that's too cumbersome, takes too long, this is great. It's a lot of fun. It plays quickly, as you can see. It's very tense. You can get very immersed in it. You definitely feel like the U.S. commander being like, dude, what is going on? You know, I got to get my boys over there. My boys are getting shot down. All that. You have all that feeling there with it. As far as the gameplay goes, again, I've mentioned this before. I'll just mention it again here in my closing remarks. Love the range of things you can do. You can start off with the real basic game, the way it was originally designed. And again, you can increment things. There are variant ideas on Board Game Geek, so check that out there. What else do I really want to say about this? I love the randomness of it. And again, the U.S. usually has an edge, but I mean, that's to be expected at this point in time in history. The U.S. did have an edge. However, in terms of gameplay, I will say this. For the Soviets to win a normal game, now not my nightmare scenario here, but to win a normal game, the Soviets need a couple of things to happen pretty early. And by pretty early, I mean like within the first, say, 3 to no more than 5 turns. Needing to have their subs fire and hit. You notice so far I've been 50-50 on that, and the first one happened on turn 1, and the second one was on turn 6. Okay, so there's that. Another thing that needs to happen is Cuba needs to come into the game fast. If Cuba comes in, or I should say not fast, timing of Cuba coming is crucial. Because if Cuba comes into the game at a time when there's a bunch of Soviet bomber formations that are closing in on U.S. cities and over top of U.S. cities, then that disperses the interceptor force. And again, that gives them a good chance of hitting things there and scoring damage and victory points. And the other thing is, always beware of random event shit number 7. Why? Because that's the Soviet anti-submarine thing. Each game that I've played, you can get, depending on the U.S. sub, but usually the U.S. sub hits 3 times a game, because it only needs two or more on a 6-sided die to hit. So if that gets sunk, you really, really are going to have a lot of trouble. Okay? I mean, right now, you know, I have 15 victory points, and 5 of them have come from my sub. Only 10 of them come from my bombers. Now, I guess that's the majority, but still. And I'll be able to fire my sub again here after I move it into position. So, you know, the anti-submarine, the Soviet submarine launches, and Cuba's timing coming in are very critical. And, of course, you can also see that whole fueling thing. It can be really, really important as well. Oh! I should have used my nuclear missiles. I forgot about that. Sometimes it's smart to put those chits like that in front of yourself so that chit doesn't happen. And I did say chit. That's CH. Because you know what happens? When the chit hits the sand, or the ship hits the sand, you find yourself up on sanitary waters without proper means of propelling yourself forward. Which is where I kind of am in this game here. So I hope you enjoyed this playthrough. Check this game out. Again, it's now available as a print and play version. And as you can see here, there's not a whole lot that you would really have to do to make this print and play. I will say this though too. Let me get something that doesn't matter. No, don't let me disturb that. Oh, here, let's do it this way. Sorry, that's my office chair in the background. Love that thing. Another thing I will say is this: the counters in White Dog Games, look how thick that is, are really awesome. They're so nice and big. They're so easy to read. You know, love it. So I tip my hat to that. And actually, my original set of counter sheets for this when I first bought this, they were all messed up, and they sent me a brand new counter sheet, no sweat. So tip of the hat to White Dog's customer service. Again, I do like White Dog Games. I have about let me see. Let's take a quick glance around here. I have about 5 or 6 of their games because I have this. I have Don't Tread on Me. I have End of the Napoleonic Wars. I have Mrs. Thatcher's War. I have Solitaire Vietnam. I feel like I'm forgetting one. Oh yeah, Victory. What's that called? A Spoiled Victory. Yeah, I have that. I think that's it though, actually. So I have about half a dozen of their games, and I can say that the ones that I have, I've enjoyed. So, that's cool. Okay, so I'm going to end this episode here now, and maybe in the comments, what I'll do in the comments of this video is when this is over, I'll give you a little update and let you know how it ended, because I have a feeling this is going to end badly. Kind of like, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, when that knight's like, he chose poorly. Yeah, I'm probably going to regret this nightmare scenario. But again, I wanted to show you all the fun and action that can go with this game, rather than just showing you the basic game. Which, like a lot of games, the basic game, you play it a couple times to learn the system, and then you kind of set it aside and never come back again unless you're like teaching a new player or something. So, this has been Tim Korchnoi, Bare Bones Wargaming, and I guess I'll sign off by just saying this. I hope this is with a capital H. Right now, I just got, here, I'll show you. I reacquired this. Fire in the Sky. I'm hoping this will be a little more manageable strategic game of the Pacific Theater. Again, you've heard me say it before, I love Across the Pacific, but Lord have mercy, that takes up 2 of my tables practically, between the charts and the map and everything else. Footprint on that is gigantic. So, I'm hoping Fire in the Sky will work well, and if I feel like I got a good grasp on it, I'll share it with you. Some game turns. Again, I'm not trying to do a whole game playthrough, because that's not my point. My point is to show you how the game is and how it feels, so to speak, quote unquote. Like Gary Kasparov once said, you have to feel chess position. It's just, sometimes you just feel intuitively. It's, what's something that's the right move. It's not all about pure calculation, and that's true. So that's my point. So anyway, I'll check that out. And again, as I mentioned in another video, Fires of Midway, I made a mistake with the rules. I fixed that, posted a replacement video for it. And again, if you notice something, by all means, please say something in the comments. If I make a mistake, that's part of the point. We're here to learn. So if I made a mistake somewhere along the line, by all means, bring it up. We'll discuss it. We'll take a look at it. And again, if it helps me play better, helps you play better, that is the point. So, Tim Korchnoi signing off here. Wishing you victory and good time in your games. And I'll see you again sometime, I'm not sure exactly when, in the near future. This might take a little bit with Fire in the Sky to do that. So, I'll touch base with you all again sometime in the not too distant future. Thanks for watching.